Chapter 21. She wants to use this fund to register a company abroad to create a new identity for herself and facilitate her cooperation with Lu Yunting in the future. The next day, Yixing made an appointment with the private investigator she was looking for. It was a very young boy, about 20, handsome, wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and crotch pants of the same color, with slightly long bangs, about to cover his eyes, wearing an earrings in his left ear, and a cynical smile on the corner of his mouth, like a child in the rebellious period. Walking up to him, Yixing smiled. "August?" The boy nodded. "Miss E, I brought everything you wanted, and I made a little new discovery." Yixing raised his eyebrows, sat down opposite him, and ordered a cup of coffee. "Is it good?" August nodded. "When I was investigating Song Ro, I found a very interesting thing. She often goes to an orphanage called Angel House, and every time she goes to find a teenage boy, according to DNA testing, the two are mother-son relationship, which should be her ex-husband's child. Moreover, her ex-husband and her are not husband and wife, the two are actually lovers, and after the man's death, she was forced by her original wife to be in the town before leaving." After hearing this, Yixing only felt ironic in his heart. Lu Huiming probably didn't know that the pure and beautiful Bai Yuiguang in his heart was a professional mistress, and for the sake of wealth, he could abandon his parents and children in an orphanage. "What a surprise, thank you for your hard work, August." Yixing smiled and looked at him. The shallow pear vortex was sweet and moving. August scratched his hair. "Yes, I can only investigate so much." Lu Huiming's side has no breakthrough, he is very cautious. The voice became lower and lower. "It's okay, take your time, there will always be a day when you show your feet. Now I have one more thing I want you to do." Yixing smiled and said, "Can you anonymously disclose Lu Huiming's cheating evidence to others?" "Of course you can." August nodded confidently. "Computers are my specialty." "That's great." Yixing smiled and handed him a note, his email address and mobile phone number. August took it, and Zhuanxiu's font came into view. "Actually, you don't need any of these, just tell me who he is." Yixing smiled slightly. "You can't be a hacker, right?" "Almost, my ideal is to become the world's top hacker." August's eyes lit up when he talked about dreams, but soon dimmed again. "What's wrong?" Yixing asked with a smile. "It is a very happy thing to have a dream, and youth is the capital to pursue." "Parents don't agree, I have to read the book well." August said sullenly, looking mournful. "Are you still studying? How did you come out to be a private investigator?" Yixing was curious, could it be that he skipped class? "It's interesting, the stories of you rich people are more exciting than novels." As soon as the words were spoken, August realized that something was wrong. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean you, but your dad is really not a thing, hurry up and let your mother leave with him." Yixing smiled and shook his head, saying that he was fine, picked up the coffee and took a sip, and the bitter taste spread from his mouth, as if the whole person was soaked in medicine. "Let me tell you a joke." August tried to lighten her mood. Coming out of the cafe, Yixing looked up slightly, looked at the dark blue sky, and pulled out a bright smile. The more sad he was, the more he had to laugh, at least decently. "Baby, did you go out with Ozawa?" It was Ishiwen's phone. "Yes, Mom, I'll be back later today, don't worry about me." Yixing replied. She didn't want to go home at all now, she was too tired. Walking along the street, aimlessly, you will arrive at the abandoned Shishan Park. Although it is an abandoned park, the scenery is still very good. The red leaves are all over the ground, and there are still some floating in the air, like butterflies flying, and like a fate that cannot be resisted. Sit down on a bench, take off your high heels and gently rub your calves. Song Ro came with a bright red car and rushed straight towards her from the gate, and on the path opposite, her body was crushed and crushed. Just when she was in a daze, a bright red car drove in through the gate, and Yixing subconsciously opened his eyes wide to look over, and at the same time hugged himself into a ball, straining his knuckles until they turned white. "Hey, isn't this Missy?" Su Jusi got out of the driver's seat and looked at her in surprise. "Mr. Su." Yixing barely showed a smile and slowly let go of himself. "What's wrong with you?" A person got out of the back seat, and a familiar face came into view, but it was no longer the original feeling. even if his current gaze could be called soft. "It's okay, I've been sitting for a long time, and my legs are just numb," smiled nonchalantly and put on his shoes. "Take a step first." Ishin got up, smiled, and was about to leave when his arm was pulled and cast a puzzled look. He coughed lightly with his hand against his thin lips with his fist, and a familiar blush crawled up to the base of his ear. "I didn't see another vehicle. Missy should have come here on foot, right? Why don't we wait and go together?" "Thank you, no need." Ishin thanked him politely and turned to leave. "TSK, you have today too." Sujusi looked at him gloatingly. After glancing at him coldly, Rong Shi walked straight inside and stood still in front of a big tree. "Good guy, have you grown so big?" Sujusi sighed that this tree was planted with his mother when Rong Shi was 6 years old, and his mother passed away 4 years later, and he would come to see it at this time every year. Rong Shi didn't speak, and stood silent for a while, not knowing what he was thinking. "Help me take a photo." Rong Shi unlocked the phone, handed it to Sujusi, and then stood in front of the tree, as if he was comparing people. Sujusi took the phone and took a picture of him. "Lao Rong, you have been taking this photo for almost 20 years, right? Do you want to get a photo album?" In contrast. Joked. "Huh." Rong Shi snatched the phone and didn't bother to pay attention to him. "Let's go, Lao Rong, Miss Yi's steps are fast enough?" "There is no figure," Sujusi said with a smile. Rong Shi didn't reply to him, but his eyes kept looking out of the car. "Lao Rong, I think you are quite concerned about her?" When observing Rong from the rearview mirror, Sujusi said tentatively. He was actually quite curious about whether Feng Mo's guess was true. Rong Shi withdrew his gaze, pursed his lips, and frowned. Sujia was happy, but he was not scolded. It seemed that their brothers could prepare to light candles. Chapter 22 Heart? The corners of Rong Shi's mouth rose, probably just curious. It seems that the recent work is too leisurely, and there is time to worry about these meaningless things. Sujusi, drive faster, go to the company. He said lightly, then closed his eyes, and the extra energy was not as good as working. Damn, you are poisonous, old animal, do you know it's the weekend? Sujusi glanced at him speechlessly from the rearview mirror, thinking that he knew some kind of monster. But I still stepped on the accelerator a little harder. Watching them go away, Yixing walked out of a hidden place outside the courtyard wall of Shishan Park. When he was reborn, it seemed that there were too many intersections with him, which was not a good phenomenon. Moreover, the figure of the boy she liked in her heart gradually faded, and she could no longer overlap the person in front of her with the vague shadow in her heart. I can't help but wonder, do you really like it, or is it a superficial face control? Chuckled, it doesn't matter. I took out my phone and was about to book a car, but I happened to receive a call. After hesitating, I still connected. Mr. You, hello. The voice was polite and distant, and his friend application was still lying on the list and was not approved. Missy, didn't bother you, did you? Yu Guang smiled at the corner of his mouth, opened the heavy curtains, and looked into the distance in the dazzling light. No, is there anything wrong? Leaning against the courtyard wall, I found a comfortable standing position. Regarding your plan, we had an internal meeting to discuss, and there were some different opinions, and I would like to ask Missy when I have time to talk to him. Yu Guang asked with a smile, his eyes flashing with an incomprehensible light. Working hours are fine. Yixing was silent for a while, hinting. It was the weekend, and she was not obliged to talk to him about business, and more importantly, Yu Guang gave her a sense of danger. What if I want to talk about it now? Can Missy make it convenient? I have to go on a business trip for a few days starting tomorrow, and I may not have time to spare. Of course, if you want to talk to another person in charge of the company, it's not impossible, but the decision is ultimately up to me. Yu Guang chuckled and explained slowly, unconsciously bringing strength. After listening to his words, Yixing frowned. This person was threatening her? It's good, she hates this person more and more. Time? The location? Yixing had no choice but to compromise, not knowing what he had up to, and she was not qualified to refuse for the time being. "It's lunchtime, why don't you see Milo?" After receiving a satisfactory answer, Yu Guang raised the corners of his mouth happily, and even the hated dazzling sunshine seemed to be much cuter. Putting down his mobile phone, Yixing made an appointment for a car and went directly to the Milo restaurant that Yu Guang said. "Is it Missy?" As soon as I entered the restaurant, the waiter greeted me warmly. Yixing nodded, knowing in his heart that Yu Guang had explained something. In just a few tens of minutes, these were arranged, and Yu Guang's purpose was very questionable. "Okay, please come with me." The waiter led her to a box. Yu Guang was dressed in a dark blue suit and looked at her with a smile. "Missy, please sit down." Gentlemanly stood up and pulled her seat away. "Thank you." Yixing smiled and sat down under his gaze. After ordering, Yixing didn't want to chat with him. "Is there anything lacking in our plan?" "I also hope that Mr. You will tell us that we can improve, Shu." Yu Guang made a silent gesture. "I don't really like talking about business when I'm alone with a beautiful lady." The smile was a little evil. Yixing was frightened by his smile and his heart chuckled. This Yu Guang didn't want to soak her, right? At this time, the waiter pushed the dining car into the box and introduced the food, which relieved the embarrassment very well. "Try this?" "My treasure." Yu Guang handed her a glass of red liquid, which exuded a strong aroma. I wanted to say that I couldn't drink, but his hand kept holding the posture of handing the wine, steady, and the liquid in the cup did not shake at all. His gaze was strong and undeniable. "Thank you." Yixing took it, smelled it, and then took a sip gently. "Very good." After that, he put down the wine glass. Because he made it clear that he didn't want to talk about business, Yixing could only secretly complain about him in his heart, and he could only cooperate with him to talk about some things on the surface. Finally, when it was almost time to eat, Yu Guang took the initiative to talk about cooperation. After our internal discussions, we felt that these areas needed to be improved. Yu Guang said and took out the plan from his briefcase, as well as their company's meeting discussion opinions. When it came to work, Yixing was not as uncomfortable as he was chatting nonsense before, and when he finished talking about the relevant content, Yixing found that they were already very close enough to feel each other's hot breath hitting their bodies. He took a deep breath and calmed himself down. "Okay, I'll go back and discuss improvements with everyone, and try to meet your requirements." Looking at her crimson face up close, every hair, every emotional change, it was obvious. Realizing that he couldn't go too far, Yu Guang sat up straight and distanced himself slightly. "Well, I look forward to your improvement." Feeling that his breath was far away, Yixing was also a little more comfortable. "Thank you, Mr. You, for your trust in us, but I don't know what Mr. Yu's view is on cooperation?" So far, he has not given a clear answer, as if he is adjusting at both ends. "Your plan book is very innovative, and I am personally very interested." However, internal discussions seem to be more inclined to choose Bohan. Yu Guang told her without hesitation. Yixing nodded. "Bohan has developed in recent years, the momentum is strong, and the development prospects are also very good. It is a good choice to work with. However, Yi's group is not bad. As an established enterprise, it has strong funds, connections, and accumulation, and its market share is also very stable. I hope your company can think well about Yi's group, and our attitude of cooperation is very sincere." Yixing said with a smile. "Of course, I admire your father and you very much." Yu Guang said meaningfully. "Thank you, sorry for taking up Mr. Yu's private time. If nothing else, that's it for today, right?" Yixing looked at him with a smile, still with a faint alienation. Yu Guang has been playing Tai Chi with her, and has never let go of the cooperation, and she doesn't think there is any need to continue talking. Yu Guang said a non-committal and after a simple cleanup, the two walked out of the restaurant together. Yixing refused Yu Guang's send-off, saying that someone would come to pick her up. In fact, she didn't lie. Qin Mu made an appointment with her in the afternoon, and he happened to be nearby. Yi Xiaoxing, who is that man? At first glance, he is not a good person. After getting into the car, Qin Mu said with a disgusted face, and the man's slowly shrinking figure could still be seen in the rearview mirror. A business partner. Yixing explained with a smile. Qin Mudu, you seem to be in good spirits. Haven't you been chasing a little girl recently? Qin Mu instantly blackened. Yi Shaoxing, are you missing a draw? The girl chasing the young master lined up outside the 5th Ring Road. Oh. Yixing smiled. Has Pei Pei contacted you recently? It seems that there has been no news of her for a long time. Qin Mu's face darkened. I've never seen a creature more troublesome than you women. Isn't it just a period with her? Divide your hands and cry. Lin Pei was very disdainful in his words. Didn't your mother pull your ears? Yixing asked curiously. Qin Mu looked at her with a strange face. I said, can you expect me to be better? I'm her own son, why are you pulling my ears when you're fine? Hearing this answer, Yixing was relieved, as long as the things in his memory didn't happen. Yi Shaoxing, you know I'm an honest person who doesn't like to speak ill of others. Qin Mu struggled and spoke. Oh, honest man, hello. Yixing looked mocking. Qin Mu is an honest person, and there is no dishonest person in the world. This person has been in love since elementary school, and his girlfriend has never broken up. Go, let me tell you, that Lin Pei, stay away from her, not a good bird. Just the last time you asked me to read that novel, the pretentious heroine in it was the same as her. In fact, after reading that book, he was very inspired. Lin Pei was well investigated, and they were shocked in the end. Decisively break up. Oh. Yixing responded perfunctorily, she already knew. Seeing her attitude, Qin Mu was anxious. You won't believe me, will you? The young master is the kind of person who lies? I believe in you. Yixing looked at him with a smile. No, I have to take you to see the true face of that woman. Qin Mu thought that she was perfunctory to herself, so she immediately changed the direction of the car. Yixing rolled his eyes and followed him. Who knows Lin Pei's true face better than her? It's just that it's a bit strange that she can endure not coming to her for so long. The car stopped in a high-end community. When did she move? Yixing wondered. She remembered that Lin Pei's family conditions were not good, and she worked as a clerk in a foreign company, and her salary was not high. How can you afford a house here? Her father bought it for me. Qin Mu looked sarcastic. It seemed that this father could not understand normally. Yixing looked at the high-rise building in front of her in silence. Probably something had happened. She didn't remember that Lin Pei had been taken care of. Hey, Yi Shaoxing, don't be sad. Qin Mu understood her silence as being so sad that he didn't want to speak, and he immediately became anxious. It's not sad, it's just emotional. Yixing smiled and shook his head. Do you know the inside story? I don't know. Anyway, I broke up with her after investigating this. Qin Mu curled his lips, not interested. Maybe it's not that she has changed, but she has never understood enough, and the pregnancy test sheet taken out by Lin Pei in her previous life may not be fake. I'm a little worried about her. This is true, Lin Pei is a poisonous snake in the shadows, and he doesn't know why he was bitten coldly. I don't know who her sponsor is, and I don't know what she will do because of this relationship. Yixing was a little worried. I know to worry blindly, go around, and take you to the waves. Qin Mu said impatiently, turning the front of the car directly. At the same time, a certain room in a unit building in the community. Don't do it. Don't. The woman's piercing screams were filled with fear, while the man in front of her turned a deaf ear and only pounced on her with a face. In the woman's desperate and empty eyes, there was a deep hatred hidden, which was about to erupt. Why does everyone like her? And you can only be pressed under you by a greasy and disgusting middle-aged man? It's unfair, it's so unfair. Chapter 23. After returning to work on Monday, Yixing immediately summoned everyone to discuss Hongda's project plan and told them Hongda's opinions. Busy until noon, when she was about to rest and go to have a meal, Yu Guang called again and asked her if she could sign a contract now. Putting down the phone and rubbing his eyebrows, Yixing had a headache. She didn't know what kind of medicine was sold in this Yu Guang gourd. After getting dressed, Yixing got up and rushed to the place he had set with his bag. Fuyuan Pavilion Yu Guang wore a burgundy suit, her hair was specially combed, neatly combed to the back of her head, revealing her smooth and full forehead, and her sharp eyes looked at her unconcealed. If it weren't for the shallow smile inside, you would have thought that this man was looking at his enemy. Mr. Yu. Yixing smiled and sat down opposite him. Missy is radiant today. Yu Guang smiled, unabashedly admiring his gaze, and looked at her with interest. The well-fitting professional suit shows a beautiful body curve, with a slender waist that does not reach a handful, and straight white and tender legs under the skirt that covers the buttocks. A standard workplace beauty dressed, but her face is a little jerky, and she smiles lightly, pure and moving, like the little girl next door, with a very clean atmosphere, seeing her like a spring breeze on her face, relaxed. Thank you. Yixing smiled, the hand holding the bag was about to break the bag, the man's gaze was too presumptuous. Didn't Mr. You say that you have to go on a business trip on weekdays? Yixing asked with a smile. If she remembered correctly, this was the reason he used to ask her to talk about business on his day off last time. Well, it's cancelled at the last minute. The man smiled a little roguely. After all, there are more important things here. Yixing pretended not to understand and smiled. Last time I let Mr. You spend money, let me do it today. It doesn't feel comfortable to owe someone, especially someone who doesn't like it very much. It is easy to get tired of dealing with people who are too complicated, and it is enough to deal with Lu Huiming. Yu Guang smiled non-committally. The contract is here, you can sign it after eating. He took out a folder from his briefcase. No need for a lawyer to be present? Yixing wondered that the contract was drafted by the other party, and she was afraid that there would be any mistakes that would hurt the company's interests. If Missy is not at ease, you can take a picture of your lawyer. Is the time for a meal enough? Yu Guang saw through what she was thinking and said directly, I don't know what Missy likes to eat. As he spoke, he handed her a menu. Yixing first took a photo of the contract and passed it to Lin Qiu, then ordered a few dishes at random and pushed the menu to Yu Guang. Mr. You, take a look. After pushing the menu to Yu Guang, Yixing took the contract and looked at it, and for a while only the sound of paper turning was left in the box. Yixing searched the internet while watching, paying attention to Lin Qiu's reply, and was very engaged. I didn't notice the wolf-like eyes above my head at all, strong aggression and great fun. As she raised her head, Yu Guang withdrew her gaze. It just so happened that the waiter also brought the meal. The restaurant I chose last time didn't seem to be to Miss Yi's taste. I don't know how it is this time. Yu Guang used public chopsticks to pick up a piece of fish for her. Thank you. Thank you. Yixing lowered his head and ate silently, a little unsure of how to respond to the light. His mind did not belong, until the sting in his throat. Yixing's eyes quickly filled with mist, and he quickly swallowed a mouthful of rice, trying to press down the fish bones. Yu Guang noticed her abnormality and asked worriedly, what's wrong? Seeing that she just shook her head but didn't speak, Yu Guang realized that she was stuck. Are you okay? I'll take you to the hospital. After saying that, regardless of whether she agreed or not, he went over and helped her outside. Because it was sent to the hospital in time, after going to the hospital for treatment, there was no problem except for the slight pain in the throat. Thank you, Mr. You today. Yixing whispered, speaking would pull his throat. It's okay, don't talk if you're not feeling well. Yu Guang smiled and looked at her. We are friends, right? Will Mr. You be too rusty? He hinted. Without waiting for Yixing to answer, Yu Guang continued, can I call you Sheng? I remember everyone calling you like that. Everyone? Yixing looked at him suspiciously. Did their social circles overlap? Nodded perfunctorily, although thanks to him today, she still didn't want to communicate with him too much. This person is too complex and dangerous. How can such a person be simple from the son of a deceased wife who is not taken seriously to the head of the family? Sheng. Yu Guang smiled and said, his voice was low and slightly magnetic, and he read these two words as if they were affectionate and sultry. Yixing responded, Yu Guang, I want to go back to the company first. If the contract, can I take it back and take a look first? Of course, I'll see you off. Yu Guang smiled and nodded, excitement flashed in the depths of his eyes, and finally went further, his girl. Yixing hurriedly walked out of the hospital with his head down, not noticing the cold eyes not far away. President, it's time to register. Fong Mengqiu walked over with the list and found that their president was standing stunned, staring in one direction. The back was a little familiar. Fong Mengqiu thought about it. It seemed to be Missy, who used to come to the door every day. But she didn't say anything. As a secretary, just do your own thing, and the president's private affairs should not interfere. Hearing her voice, Rong Shi turned his head to look at her, nodded, and the little waves in his eyes calmed down. The handsome content was covered by a mask, and his white forehead was covered with fine sweat. Seeing Rong Shi enter the treatment room, Fong Mengqiu estimated the time and walked to the elevator. Dream Chu? Hearing a gentle knock on the door, the man raised his head, and there were gentle eyes under the gold-rimmed eyes, warm as jade, and the gentleman was upright. Brother Chu, today is your birthday. This is for you. Happy birthday. Fong Mengqiu took out a small box and handed it to him. Thank you. Surprise flashed, and Chu Shuyan took it with a smile. It's hard for you to remember. I forgot myself. Are you free at night? Let's celebrate our birthday together, shall we? His smile gave Fong Mengqiu great encouragement, and she asked tentatively, her tone cautious. The man frowned, looking a little distressed. I was supposed to be on duty, but since you invited me, I will discuss changing shifts with them, right? The brows quickly loosened and the smile deepened. Fong Mengqiu was completely unaware of his bad taste, and when he heard the affirmative reply, he couldn't hide his surprised smile, and his eyes were as bright as stars falling into it. Chu Shuyan raised his hand and pushed down his glasses. I'll pick you up at night. On the other side, Su Jusi broke the news in their small group of 4. Su Jusi, Shi de Pu Ben, the old animal has entered the hospital. The other 3 people immediately jumped out and asked why. Their small group was a special melon-eating group, and the target was Wanyan Tai Shirong. But he had too little material and was not very happy to eat. Seeing the reaction of the 3 of them as expected, Su Jusi smiled proudly, typed on the keyboard, and typed a string of words. On the weekend, the old animal met Miss E, and his courtesy was rejected, and he didn't know what kind of wind he smoked, so I asked him to send him to the company to work overtime. Do you think he is poisonous? Now it's good, put yourself in the hospital. The 3 of them were the same. Ha 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 ha, sir, your current temperature is 39.5 and you need to be hospitalized for infusions. Yixing looked at the thermometer, his voice was steady. Suddenly, the beautiful man, who had been as calm as a chicken since he came in, sneezed hard. The doctor was caught off guard and was so shocked by this sound that the thermometer almost didn't hold it. Rong Shi's ears turned red instantly, and his cheeks, which were already hot and red due to fever, seemed to be cooked at the moment, just waiting to be eaten. At this time, Fong Mengqiu came in, and the doctor handed her the payment slip and other things. With a little embarrassed face, this gentleman needs to be hospitalized. You take this to pay for the medicine first, and go through the hospitalization procedures. Fong Mengqiu felt that the atmosphere was strange, and he didn't know what was going on, so he took the list and went out. Rong Shi didn't want to stay here for a long time, so he coughed lightly and stood up. Today is probably his Black Monday. Chapter 24. Sheng, you did a good job this time, and the directors have praised you with me. Lu Huiming smiled warmly, and there was suspicion hidden deep in his pampered eyes. Hee, everyone is working hard. Especially Zhou Ziyuan, he is really super powerful, no wonder his father appreciates him. Yixing looked at him with a bright smile, innocent, like a little girl who didn't know anything about the world. In fact, she was like this before she was reborn. Recently, the head office has sent someone to the N-City branch, which is a good opportunity to exercise. Although it will be very hard, the gains will not be less. Dad didn't think about you before, so he wanted you to stay at the headquarters, so that it would be easier and easier to take care of. Now Dad doesn't think so. My precious daughter is much more powerful than I thought, and not giving you the opportunity to exercise is burying your talent. Lu Huiming touched her soft hair and said with emotion, Dad is old, and this company will still have to be handed over to you in the future. You can learn more, and you will be able to make it easier in the future. "Dad, I don't want to go, I just want to be by your side and Mom." Yixing said coquettishly, "N City is probably another surer field given to her by Lu Huiming, and the situation will not be better than that of S City." Lu Huiming may have been suspicious of her. After all, in his impression, Yixing was a straw bag with a beautiful skin, and he would eat and wait for death all his life. "Xing is good, if you go to N City, you will be directly promoted to director, and you will be transferred back in a few months." Lu Huiming comforted softly, "You are a big child, you have to learn a certain ability to survive. Dad can't protect you for the rest of your life. Ziyuan is very good, but no one can be trusted forever. Even Mom and Dad have a day when they have to leave you one sentence after another, as if with a fist of love, like a father who loves his children, and earnestly teaches his children's heartfelt words." Yixing only felt sarcastic in his heart. "Okay." The voice was a little aggrieved, as if he was compromising because he was sensible, and he was an obedient and good boy, as he had in his impression. After Yixing left the office, Lu Huiming's face instantly darkened. Lu Yunting, that old guy, had the idea on her daughter, and it was really naive to try to deal with him by provoking their father-daughter relationship. Even if Yixing has no brains, he can only be the arrow in his hand, and if he wants to use this arrow, it depends on whether he agrees or not. Lu Huiming's eyes were dark, the emotions inside were not real, and his whole body exuded the aura of not approaching strangers. The pen in his hand kept turning, not knowing what he was thinking. The next day, Yixing took Lin Qiu to the N City branch. The person sent by the company branch to pick her up was the special assistant to the general manager of the branch, about 30 years old, with a shrewd and capable atmosphere. At least in terms of etiquette, the branch did not embarrass her. On the first day, there was no substantive work. Yixing simply flipped through the information report within the scope of work, and then went back to the apartment prepared for her by Lu Huiming, and Lin Qiu lived with her. "Director, at present, there is no problem with the branch, but it takes a while to get started," Lin Qiu analyzed. Yixing nodded in agreement. "However, I think Zhou Min is a person who can't see through and is very polite, but there is no respect." Zhou Min is the general manager of the N City branch, 45 years old, probably because of frequent exercise, looking young and energetic. "Always greet people with a smile, look kind, but don't feel kind. People who have been in the business world for many years are all old fritters. Which one will be simple?" Lin Qiu smiled and said, "But director, this person pays a lot of attention. I have investigated his information, and he has experience in gangsters." It was only 2 days before and after the transfer to take office, and Lin Qiu could think that the people of the investigation branch, as assistants, were careful and responsible enough. Yixing was very satisfied with her. Although he had long expected that Lu Huiming's arrangements for her would not be so simple, he did not expect that there would be such people under him. The general manager of the N City branch was rehired after the death of her grandparents, and it is very likely that Lu Huiming was the one who was placed. Moreover, this person's background is so complex that it needs to be paid attention to. Transferring to N City is also convenient for her to do something, and S City is easy to be discovered under Lu Huiming's nose every day. Lu Huiming's cheating evidence has been given to Lu Yunting, and according to her observation, her mother should be mentally prepared. Lu Huiming fought with Lu Yun in S City, and she could also add fire to the fire in N City, and she happened to have an alibi. Her work in N City is carried out in an orderly manner. She commutes to and from work on time every day, does not cause trouble, and lives a very Buddhist life. This can just relax the vigilance of some people, such as taking advantage of the situation to bully others and not knowing how to mess around, and the people below have much less awe of her. After finding that she was easy to get along with, he also brought her to gossip and something. "Director, big deal." Yixing came out of the pantry with coffee, and employee Xiaowan pulled her mysteriously. He glanced at her suspiciously and asked her with his eyes. "In the afternoon, the president of Bohan is coming to our company to talk about business with Mr. Zhou." "The president of Bohan?" "My mother, I have only seen him in financial magazines, and I actually have the opportunity to see real people." "What kind of happy life is this?" Xiaowan said that her eyes were about to be careful. Yixing rolled his eyes. That's it? Isn't this important? Look at how many presidents are as handsome as him. The key is to be handsome and single. The woman who can be with him must have saved the galaxy. Xiaowan continued to be nymphomaniac. Director, don't pay attention to her, this girl is a senior member of the Appearance Association. Another employee, Xiao Jin, complained, but seriously, Bohan's Mr. Rong is a god-level figure. The size of his fan support club is not inferior to that of traffic star Sheng. It seems that she was going to die or live for this goods before, and it is not unjust to be dead, and appearance is a just society. That afternoon, everyone was looking forward to it, waiting for the people of Bohan to come. When everyone has something to do, they always use the excuse of going to the toilet to run to the window where they can see the gate, and even go to the general manager's office to deliver documents frequently. Sheng, as the director of the branch, was to be present, and in the envious and jealous eyes of the floor employees, she followed Zhou Min and other senior managers to the hall to greet them. Bohan came with a total of 7 people, and Rong Shi was the most dazzling among the group, not because he behaved publicly, but because his temperament and aura separated him from the crowd, making it impossible to ignore his existence. The people accompanying him were all smiling, but he looked indifferent, as if everything had nothing to do with him. Such a cold person, if he does not have outstanding talents, I am afraid it will be difficult to mix in the business field. And if you have enough talent, wealth, and status, you don't have to cater to anyone. Rong Shi was younger than most of the people present, but he was centered on him. He wore a black suit, every button was buttoned up, without a trace of wrinkles, and his dark blue tie was neatly tied. Under the short black hair are cold eyebrows and eyes, and a pair of eyes are particularly charming, as if there is suction, and I don't want to look away when I meet them. The sexy Adam's apple makes people want to lick it with their lips and tongue. The female employees present suppressed their screams, and their eyes didn't want to look at him idly for a moment. This face, in dreams, in reality, has been seen too many times. Even so, Yixing cannot deny his charm. It's just that calm has been achieved. The face is as polite a smile as other executives, without too much attention and without making him feel ignored. It's the same as looking at anyone. Rong Shi pretended to look at her casually, and his eyes darkened. Missy, it's a pleasure to meet you. He took the initiative to reach out, and a charming smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The employees couldn't help but take out their mobile phones. At the same time, the snapshot of Rong Shi's smile was put to major popular websites, and the fans covered their hearts and said, "My husband is so good-looking and does not accept refutations." It's a pleasure to meet you. Yixing smiled back and pretended to be acquainted with each other for the first time. Chapter 25. Yixing thought that this would be the end, but he didn't expect that the executives of the branch felt that Rong Shi was difficult to deal with, so he took the initiative to greet her and asked her to entertain him. Throw the pot to her without asking her opinion. Missy doesn't seem to be very happy? Is it because I'm bothering you? Rong Shi smiled, and the slightly raised corners of his mouth made his originally cold temperament stained with fireworks in the world. No, is there anything else, Mr. Rong needs to know? I'll take you? Yixing said with a smile, good-looking people are always boring, even the male protagonist. Go to the factory and take a look? Rong Shi suggested that they mainly came back to look at the supply chain of Yi's group and inspect the production environment and quality of their products. Yixing nodded, drove the car sent by the company, and took him to the factory. The person who followed him was sitting in the car behind. You broke up with Qinmu? Rong Shi suddenly asked. Yixing was slightly stunned. Why did you ask that? Last time I saw you and Yu Guang together in the hospital. Rong Shi explained. His face was calm, but he felt a little uncomfortable in his heart, and after saying that, he turned his head to look out the car window. I always talked to you about work, and something happened. Yixing explained subconsciously. Rong Shi nodded, and wanted to ask Qinmu about it again, but felt that he shouldn't. He seemed to be too curious. Why do you pretend you don't know? Rong Shi asked about the scene when they met today. Mr. Rong, in fact, we really can't talk about getting to know each other. Yixing smiled. Don't you know? Rong Shi asked himself. It seems that it is really unfamiliar. She has been chasing, she has never responded, and she even feels annoyed. But, I don't know, it's not. When we first met at the banquet, she stepped forward a little shyly. If you say hello, you will know each other. Then can we meet now? He curled up the corners of his lips and asked softly. Did not mention the past of her crazy pursuit, which was too sad for a girl. I am Rong Shi. The cold voice was mixed with a little smile, and Yixing was silent. Drove out for a while. I am Yixing. Hearing her response, the smile on Rong Shi's face deepened, like the first snow in winter and the peach blossoms blooming. Seeing from the rearview mirror, Yixing's heart stopped beating, trying to stabilize his mind. Silently thought, can't be provoked, can't be provoked, can't be provoked. Rong Huan has been sent abroad. Huh? Yixing was surprised. Why did he suddenly mention Rong Huan? Immediately reacted. Rong Shi was explaining to her that the handling of that matter would follow up. Actually, I don't need it. She is quite envious of Rong Huan. With the love of her family, she can live wantonly without too much scruples. It's not entirely because of you, she's spoiled and needs to break her temper. Rong Shi continued, hoping that she would not have a psychological burden. Oh. Yixing said he knew, but he didn't know what to say next. A person like Rong Shi is good-looking, but besides being good-looking, he has no interest at all. You need others to guess what you say, it's too stuffy/sassy. He was not a talkative person in the first place, and Rong Shi didn't know how to break the deadlock. Every time this happens, someone else always speaks first, and he just needs to pick it up. The only thing left in my ears was the sound of the engine of the car moving, and the sound of the wind whistling in my ears. It's here. Yixing parked the car and said to the person in the back seat. There is no need for Yixing to do anything to inspect the factory, there is a professional master to explain to them, and she just needs to listen with her. Coming out of the factory, it was already a little dark. Have dinner together? Rong Shi asked. No, my assistant is waiting for me at home. Lin Qiu is simply an all-round assistant, the food she cooks is super delicious, she has to go back to squeeze the assistant except for lunch. Rong Shi was silent for a while. I'll send you back first. Saying that, he walked to the driver's seat. Yixing didn't say anything more and sat down in the back seat. That night, Rong Shi was lying in bed, suffering from rare insomnia. In the past, when he was tired from work, he could go straight to sleep, but today, he unexpectedly didn't want to deal with work. He was thinking about his strange state during this time. Yixing also had insomnia, because of Rong Shi's strange attitude. Didn't this person reject himself before? How can you take the initiative to make friends now? She wouldn't narcissistically think that Rong Shi had turned around and fell in love with her. Rong Shi's kind of immortal should be left to the heroine to clean up. Speaking of the heroine, she is also here today. Why didn't she have a car with Rong Shi? The two met again the next day. Didn't you rest well last night? Rong Shi asked. There was an imperceptible concern hidden in the depths of his eyes, and after thinking about it all night, he still didn't know why the person in front of him was so attracted to him. Did she do anything? Nope. It's just that I don't come to him anymore, and I don't treat him special anymore. You don't seem to have rested well. Yixing stared at the faint black blue under his eyes, and Rong Shi's skin was white, which was easy to see. Rong Shi nodded awkwardly, probably because of acclimatization. This reason is funny to himself, and it is not that he flew several cities or countries the day before. Yixing nodded, agreeing with his explanation. What do you want to do today? Hooking the broken hair next to his cheek, Yixing asked with a smile. In fact, according to the original arrangement, he was supposed to go to the next city today, and last night he asked someone to change his ticket for unknown reasons. Look at your work. Rong Shi said. So, Rong Shi occupied her office, and she was chatting with the employees outside with coffee. There are no big orders recently, and the work is relatively easy. Rong Shi sat at her desk, facing the computer all the time, not knowing what she was doing. When Yixing returned to the office, he was going to ask him if he needed something to drink, but it turned out to be, Rong Shi, are you? Her job, what else does she use to pass the time? See if there is any problem, I just sorted it out. Rong Shi explained, with a calm face. The printer next to her was still swiping out sheets of paper with the smell of ink, and Rong Shi had gone through all the report materials that she hadn't finished yet. No. No problem. Yixing turned a few pages symbolically. How could there be something wrong with Rong Shi, a workaholic? Okay, come here, I'll tell you a few places. Rong Shi pointed to the seat opposite and motioned for her to sit down. Yixing looked at him speechlessly, and under the pressure of his eyes, he still gave in. You see, you shouldn't be like this in this place. Rong Shi explained very seriously, and the content was also very practical, which was much more exciting than online class registration. However, Yixing looked at him and just wanted to go up and sew his mouth. You are the boss, I am the little scumbag. So, can you slow down and consider my receptivity? Do you understand? Rong Shi looked at her, his face was serious, and he really looked like a tireless teacher when he put on his glasses. Yixing nodded blankly, are you thirsty? Rong Shi realized that because he had said too much, his mouth was a little dry, and he nodded. I'll go pour you a glass of water, is it okay to have plain water? Yixing took a deep breath and was finally freed. When facing Rong, she felt like a primary school student. Rong Shi nodded again, watching her turn her back, the corners of her mouth raised. In his opinion, Yixing is a child who can be taught, serious, and has good understanding. Yixing came in with water, it's a little hot, thank you. Rong Shi took it and blew it gently. In the heat, his face was slightly blurred, with a fairy spirit. Yixing took out his mobile phone faster than his brain and pressed the shooting button. A smile flashed in her eyes, and Rong Shi did not break her. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me again, I remember you have my mobile phone number. Yixing put away his phone silently, for fear of being confiscated. It seems that WeChat is more convenient, add one? Rong Shi asked, if you want to take this path, you still have to learn the necessary knowledge. Yixing opened his mobile phone with a guilty conscience, turned off the photo album, then opened WeChat and gave him a QR code. After adding friends to each other, thank you very much for your company in the past 2 days, is it an honor to invite you to dinner? Rong Shi smiled and invited. I already refused once yesterday, and it may not be good to refuse again. So Yixing nodded. Came to a Sichuan restaurant with good reviews, because the business was very good, they didn't ask for a box. Seeing that she was sweating profusely, Rong Shi handed her a tissue. Yixing took it and was about to wipe his sweat when his phone rang. Sheng, the game I told you about is in public beta today, come back and play with me. It was Qin Mu's voice message. Rong Shi heard that voice and closed his eyes. Boyfriend? He asked, and he still asked. No. Yixing bluntly denied, childhood sweetheart. Rong Shi's face changed, it's good, yes, Qin Mutu is very good, nodded approvingly. Okay, wait until I'm done eating. Yixing returned. The two of them chatted like this without saying a word, and their words were full of intimacy. Rong Shi looked at the smiling girl opposite, his mood was complicated, and even the food he ate in his mouth had no taste. Yixing reached out to get the drink, just in time for Rong Shi. Rong Shi, what's wrong with your mouth? She looked at him in surprise. Huh? Rong Shi subconsciously touched it and found that it hurt a little, is it swollen? Looked at Yixing with confused eyes. Yixing held back his laughter and nodded calmly, aren't you not very good at spicy food? Rong Shi nodded. It's okay, just go back and sleep, drink plenty of water. Yixing comforted, what to do, she couldn't control her hands, she really wanted to take a picture. Rong Shi nodded again, and the roots of his ears were red. It seems that there have been a lot of embarrassing things lately. Yixing couldn't help but look at it again and again. Mom, the face is good looking, and the mouth is swollen but also good looking. It's like being swollen by a kiss, it's too tempting. Laugh if you want. Rong Shi said helplessly, anyway, what can I do? How could it be? Yixing couldn't hold back as soon as he finished speaking. Ha 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 ha. After laughing, he covered his stomach. Rong Shi's eyebrows and eyes were also stained with a smile. Chapter 26 Xiao Yi, you are responsible for entertaining Mr. Rong tonight. Zhou Min said this, smiling and looking very kind. Mr. Zhou, I'm not familiar with him, really, don't believe me too much. Suddenly called to the office by Zhou Min and told her about the company dinner, Yixing smiled helplessly. Xiaoyi, young people should be confident, and it is not a good habit to belittle themselves. You have performed very well these days, and I think Mr. Rong is also very satisfied with you, don't refuse. I promised your father to take good care of you, don't let me break my word. Okay, you go to work first. Zhou Min waved his hand, not wanting to say more, but still had a kind smile on his face. Got it. Yixing nodded and walked out of the general manager's office. This company dinner was specially held for Rong Shi and them, and it was originally scheduled for the day they came, but it seemed to have been pushed away. Now that she has brought it up again, she doesn't know the reason inside. It's just that Zhou Min deliberately found her and gave her the opportunity to entertain Rong Shi, with the intention of making more connections on the surface. He is Lu Huiming's person, what will Lu Huiming instruct him to do? Cheating her? Or praise her? After staying here for more than a week, it was quite stable, because she knew that in the place Lu Huiming chose for her, she would not be given a chance to perform. She just wanted to use this time to point out Lu Huiming's extramarital affair. On the one hand, let everyone know that he is not as good a family man as he appears to be, which damages his image. On the other hand, using people's sympathy for the weak, she can justifiably enter the corporate circle of power. I believe that her performance at the head office is enough to knock on the door of the neutral faction. Perhaps, Lu Huiming wanted to take advantage of her stupidity and Rong Shi's dislike for her to make her humiliated in public again, so that everyone realized that she was still the brainless heir? Or, Lu Huiming is suspicious of her and wants to investigate her. In fact, no matter what, she will not disappoint her dear father, the big gift is already on the way. After get-off work in the afternoon, Yixing went back to the apartment to change clothes, and then rushed directly to the company dinner venue, where he waited for Rong Shi. Although I have always known that Rong Shi is very handsome, not glamorous and handsome, not sunny handsome, not tough handsome, but the kind of cold and unlike the handsome in the world. At this moment, he was dressed in a dark purple suit and a bow tie of the same color was still amazing to her, and he couldn't help but be stunned in place for a few seconds before stepping forward. Mr. Rong, please come with me, the location is on the 3rd floor. Yixing smiled and said, trying to ignore his appearance. Trouble. Rong Shi curled the corners of his lips and followed. Feng Mangchu, who had come all the way with him, couldn't help but widen her eyes. She went through 2 seasons in just a few dozen minutes. She was a little hesitant whether she should keep up, and she struggled slightly, but she still kept up. It's just that I keep a certain distance from the two of them, just the kind that won't bother. When I arrived at the banquet hall, there was basically nothing to do with Yixing, and there were many people who wanted to go up and chat with Rong Shi, both in the business and political circles, all with smiles. I found a clean corner and sat down, just in time to see the situation in the hall, so as not to be derelict in my duties. Sheng, I thought I was wrong, but I didn't expect it to be you. A woman with big waves and a bright red bandeau mermaid dress walked over with a wine glass. Yixing looked up and frowned. Pei? Why, I'm not happy to see you. Lin Pei smiled charmingly and sat down next to her. No, I'm just not used to seeing you dress up like this. Yixing quickly explained, his anxious expression was fully revealed. Is it good looking? Lin Pei didn't explain, just asked with a smile. Of course it's good looking, like a different person, from white roses to red roses. Yixing said with a smile, her face was sincere, and her appearance was clearly reflected in her bright eyes. Lin Pei lifted his hair. It's good to dress up occasionally, change your mood. You don't know yet, I broke up with Qin Mu. There was a hint of fragility in his smile. Hey, look at that, my new boyfriend. She pointed to a middle-aged greasy man with a face full of flesh in the crowd, which looked like some kind of animal dressed in human costume from a distance. He is the boss of our company, and he followed her today. Pei, you. Yixing didn't know what to say. She didn't expect Lin Pei to be so direct. Her feelings for Lin Pei were very complicated, and if she hadn't known that she had been used and deceived, she would have thought that she was a good friend, a pitiful and hateful person. When he was reborn, he did not retaliate against her, but only helped Qin Mu get rid of her pitfall. Surprised? Hee. Lin Pei's face showed a sneer. Life is very realistic. I'm not like you. My family background is good, I look good, and I was born to be held in the palm of my hand. I have to fight for everything myself. I didn't expect me to be like this, right? Do you feel like you've been cheated, little princess? Lin Pei asked with a smile, full of sarcasm. Lin Pei, you have to be responsible for your own life, and shortcuts are never possible. Yixing put away his smile and said seriously. Lin Pei's situation was not caused by her, it was her own choice. I thought about revenge, but I gave up. The hatred for Lu Huiming exhausted all her strength. As long as she didn't come to provoke her, she didn't have the mind to deal with her. How do you know if you don't try? You rich people think highly of themselves and look down on us little people. I don't know what I will think the day I step on the soles of my feet. Her originally innocent face was covered up by heavy makeup, and her face was distorted by meanness. Lin Pei, I have never looked down on you, you know what the truth is. Yixing said seriously, not wanting to say it too clearly, exposing it in front of Lin Pei is not a good choice. I have always regarded you as a good friend. He showed a faint look of injury. You didn't? When did you go out to play? Didn't I accommodate you when you went out to eat? Lin Pei smiled sarcastically. You can say that you asked me, but in order to maintain the so-called friendship, I dare to make the little princess unhappy? Lin Pei, I just hope you don't regret it. After Yixing finished speaking, he showed a shallow smile. I used to really treat you as a friend. I'm going to work, sorry for the company. Yixing got up and left, ignoring Lin Pei's reaction. She knew that Lin Pei probably counted all the accounts on her head. Once again, the most frightening thing is human nature. They will always find various reasons to excuse themselves without admitting their mistakes, and attribute their faults to others in exchange for peace of mind. Just like Lu Huiming, because of his wife, he gained power and wealth, and lost his dignity and true love. He did not admit his hypocrisy, but blamed his wife for the temptation. After smiling coldly, Yixing returned to normal. Just as he was about to go to Rong Shi, he asked him what he needed, and the lights in the hall suddenly dimmed. The melodious piano sound sounded, accompanied by a male voice. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, I am the host of this dinner. In order to improve the fun of the dinner, we have added a small link. Please find a person of the opposite sex to dance with the music immediately when the beam hits you, and the beam changes randomly, and the music is the same. The lights come on and the game is over. Finally, the best performing combination will be selected and prizes will be given. The exciting and interesting game quickly washed away, and because of the unhappiness brought by the sudden darkness, the atmosphere in the banquet hall suddenly ignited. From melodious piano music to soothing cello music to passionate saxophone music, the originally luxurious banquet hall has become a romantic and lively dance hall. Every pair of men and women hit by the beam of light danced under the watchful eyes of everyone, like the male and female protagonists in fairy tales, enjoying the envious gaze from all over the world. When the beam hit his body, Yixing, who had always been an audience, was in a trance for a moment. She stared blankly at Rong Shi, who was closest to her, and was stunned and didn't dare to stretch out her hand. A young man recommended himself, and Yixing gladly accepted. President, do you want to rest first? Feng Mengchu felt that the temperature around him had dropped several degrees, and asked tentatively. No. Rong Shi said lightly, the emotions in his good-looking eyes were difficult to distinguish. After the beam transferred, Yixing breathed a sigh of relief. She had just panicked, she didn't have the courage to look for it, and she didn't know anyone else. Thank you. Yixing said sincerely, facing his dance partner just now. No thanks, do you remember me? Change the Sheng. The man said with a smile. What? Sorry, I didn't see you too clearly. The only light source in the entire banquet hall was the light, and there was darkness outside the light source. It's okay, I'm Xiao Yuqing. I chased you in my junior year, do you remember? Xiao Yuqing chuckled. Xiao Yuqing? Yixing thought for a while and finally remembered. Xiao Yuqing is their weed, the male god of the school, and he doesn't know which eye is blind and has to chase her, and in the end of course he was rejected. The reason is that sister-brother love is not accepted. I remember, what a coincidence. Yixing said with a smile, more than a year after graduation, but he hasn't seen many of his former classmates. In my impression, Xiao Yuqing is a very good person, sunny and handsome, and learning sports are all strengths. Yes, there is no news from you after graduation. Where do you work now? There was joy in the voice. In the Yi's group. Yixing replied. Yi's group? I remember they didn't involve the jewelry industry, right? Xiao Yuqing wondered, you don't plan to engage in jewelry design anymore? Not for the time being. Yixing smiled faintly. I have liked shiny things since I was a child, and because I like it, I studied jewelry design in college, thinking that one day the bright things I designed would be recognized by everyone. The reality is that she has no connection with this industry except for consumer relations. I've seen your design, it's very spiritual. Xiao Yuqing said regretfully, but your choice must make sense, come on, thank you. Yixing said with a smile. After the dinner, do you have a chance to chat together? Xiao Yuqing asked. Probably not, I still have a job. Yixing said apologetically. Okay, is it convenient to leave a contact information? Xiao Yuqing asked tentatively. Yixing nodded, the phone is in the bag, wait a minute, the lights come on and the game is over. Do you know that gentleman? Xiao Yuqing said curiously, his eyes looking at Rong Shi. I'm not familiar with the company's customers, what's wrong? Yixing followed and looked over, Rong Shi's lips pursed tightly, looking a little unhappy, probably because the environment was too noisy. It seems that I will have to ask him if he wants to go to the lounge later. It's nothing, it's just that he's been looking at this side. Xiao Yuqing explained that the man's gaze was cold, which made him uncomfortable. Coincidentally. Yixing didn't take it seriously. Chapter 27. Xiao Yuqing touched his nose, nodded, and agreed with her statement. After exchanging contact information with him, Yixing searched for Rong Shi's location with her eyes, and she had not forgotten her task today. I didn't see him in the hall, but I saw Fang Mengchu, and she happened to look over too. Is Missy looking for the president? He went to the open-air balcony. Fang Mengchu said with a smile. Yixing nodded, thank you, but why didn't you follow him? According to the plot, the male and female protagonists are already in the liking stage now, right? The president doesn't seem to be in a good mood, he doesn't want to be disturbed by me. Fang Mengchu explained, she looked at Yixing and hesitated. Where are you dissatisfied? Yixing asked, and at the same time thought carefully in her heart, she did not participate in today's venue layout, but she still felt very good, the 5-star hotel, the service food is worthy of this name. However. Sounds too lively? Sorry, I don't know much about this, it's hard to guess the president's mind. Fang Mengchu smiled, saying that he couldn't help, Miss E, go and take a look, it's over there. Yixing frowned, feeling strange. But still walk in the direction Fang Mengchu pointed out. He was the only one on the open-air balcony, and his thin back felt lonely in the cool night breeze. Yixing hesitated for a moment and shouted softly, Mr. Rong? Without responding, Yixing paused for a few seconds, stepped forward and gently touched his shoulder. He turned his head to look over, his deep eyes met hers, and his expression was indifferent. Did it bother you? Yixing met his dark eyes, panicked in his heart, and asked cautiously. It's okay. Rong Shi took his hand away from the guardrail, stood up straight, and looked at her. Why are you here? That's right, if you don't like it too noisy, you can go to the lounge upstairs to rest. Yixing suggested that Fang Mengchu was right, Rong Shi was indeed unhappy, as evidenced by the low air pressure around him. Rong Shi didn't answer, just stared straight at her with his eyes, as if he wanted to pierce her. What? What's going on? Is there something wrong with what you said? Yixing asked, biting the bullet. His gaze was oppressive, making her want to turn around and leave. Suddenly, he chuckled. I'm watching Miss Yi's attraction, huh? What? Yixing was confused, and the weird feeling became even stronger. What made you change? Rong Shi asked that he had asked himself this question many times, but there was no reasonable explanation. Yixing's pupils were locked, and his penetrating gaze made her feel a sense of danger of being seen through, and there was nothing hidden in her heart. After a while, the corners of her lips hooked slightly. It's changed, do you need a reason? Sometimes an inadvertent opportunity can change your life. Mr. Rong has more experience in this than me, right? Isn't Rong Shi a business genius who came out of Wall Street? His career today is entirely his own ability, and he does not rely on half of his family. No reason, is it? Very good. Rong Shi's eyes narrowed slightly, and his smile was inadvertently charming. Yixing, you surprised me. Yixing looked at him with a confused face, his mind occupied by question marks. Rong Shi was taken away? The style of painting is very wrong. Giving up halfway is the spirit I least appreciate, and it means failure. He said meaningfully, if it were a subordinate, I wouldn't let him appear in my sight again, really? Haha. Yixing smiled awkwardly. She probably understood, but she should pretend to be stupid at this time. After taking a deep look at her, Rong Shi left the open-air balcony. Yixing was flustered and slowed down for a while before returning to the hall. Xiaoyi, why did Mr. Rong go back early? Zhou Min suddenly came over with a serious face. He said he was tired. Yixing explained seriously. Zhou Min glanced at her suspiciously, thinking of Rong Shi's face just now. Are you sure it's not a poor hospitality? Sure, he just said it on purpose, otherwise you will ask him next time. Yixing looked honest. Of course she knew that Zhou Min would not ask. Forget it, come with me to meet a few people. Zhou Min seemed to believe it and waved to her. This is Mr. Zhang of Fuhua, this is Mr. Meng of Hengda. Zhou Min introduced her to a circle of people with a smile, all of whom were big bosses in N City, and they were all in the business and political circles. Yixing laughed alongside him, and his face stiffened. When it came to the man Lin Pei was holding, Mr. Lu is good. Okay, I didn't expect Director Yi to be so young and beautiful. As he spoke, a pair of squinting eyes kept looking at her. Mr. Lu, you don't know yet, Sheng was their flower back then. Lin Pei added next to him. Why, do you know each other? Mr. Lu asked, and the hand on Lin Pei's waist moved up and down, thinking that others couldn't see it, and Yixing took it all in his eyes. We are classmates, but we haven't been in touch recently, probably because Director Yi is too busy and doesn't want me to work idly. Lin Pei said with a smile. The heavy makeup looked sophisticated and kitsch. Come, I will have a glass of respect for Miss Yi, and we will cooperate more in the future. Mr. Lu laughed so hard that his eyes couldn't see. Yixing didn't have wine in his hand, and was about to go over to get it, when Lin Pei handed her a glass. I just took it, I didn't move. She said with a smile. In front of so many people, Yixing couldn't refuse, so he could only take it. I wanted to take a sip gently, but at the request of Mr. Lu and Zhou Min, I could only drink it all. Looking at Lin Pei's eyes, she had a bad feeling. Just after drinking it, her head was a little dizzy, but Zhou Min still had to take her to meet the newcomer. Mr. Zhou, I don't drink well, maybe I'm drunk, that's it for today, right? Dad won't blame you. Yixing said with a smile. There is not much left, hold on. They are all connections, and there will be no such good opportunities in the future, and today is also through Mr. Rong's tomorrow, so many people are invited. Zhou Min looked embarrassed. Yixing only felt that his consciousness was getting more and more blurred, and he insisted on it, and after seeing the rest of the people, he struggled to go to the lounge upstairs. A remote corner. Little baby, are you really okay? A muddy male voice, with a greedy desire that cannot be hidden. Don't worry, Lu Huiming won't take care of it, and the surveillance has been removed. The female voice said, when she returns to S City, she won't have this opportunity. The man hesitated for a moment and gritted his teeth. Okay, are you sure Zoe always defaults? You can't see it yourself? The woman asked rhetorically. At the same time, in the lounge, Yixing endured the heat and locked the door and went directly to the bathroom. Lin Pei was probably crazy and dared to do such a thing unabashedly, but she would choose the timing. With her current situation, it is more dangerous to leave the hotel, and if she stays here, she will be found sooner or later. Lin Pei must have a backhand. Cold water spilled on her body, she regained her sense slightly, and did not pick up her bag in a hurry, but now she was in trouble. Not only the heat, but also a strange feeling spreading in her body, and she couldn't help but scream. Chapter 28. There was a hurried knock on the door, and Yixing's heart tightened. Stumbling out of the bathroom, he picked up the landline phone configured in the room, and trembled and pressed a string of familiar numbers. The knocking on the door outside still didn't stop, and she vaguely heard a conversation about getting the keys. The beep sound on the phone made her anxious and anxious. Room 406. Help me, please. Finally connected, hearing the familiar voice, Yixing said unsteadily, save me. The feeling of vertigo grew stronger, and she felt that her mind was being lost little by little. I could vaguely hear the hurried footsteps on the door, the sound of keys colliding, and the sound of the door lock being turned. Listening to the busy voice on the mobile phone, Rong Shi's face was dark, and he dialed a phone without the slightest hesitation. Phone mo, let people take a look at room 406 of the Cloud Hotel in N City, thank you. After receiving an affirmative answer, Rong Shi picked up his coat. President, your flight? Fang Mengqiu asked suspiciously, why did the president suddenly book a ticket to leave overnight, and now he suddenly wants to leave the hotel again? Cancel, I'll talk about it when I come back. He explained with a serious face, strode out of the room, and walked towards the elevator. Feeling the greasy big hand stroking his face, Yixing wanted to break free, but his whole body was weak, and he couldn't use his strength, and his eyes were a little blurry, but he could also recognize that the person who was pressing on his body at this moment was Mr. Lu, whom he had just seen. Go away. Is clearly a disgusting tone, but it sounds a bit lingering, sweet and soft, and attractive. Mr. Lu stared at her with a pair of fine eyes. Little beauty, I can't wait, I'll come now. As he spoke, he unbuttoned his clothes. The strong smell of alcohol, smoke, and all kinds of disgusting smells on his body, Yixing had the urge to vomit. Because of fear and because of the heat all over his body, his eyes were filled with water mist and the corners of his eyes were moist. Despair, fear, helplessness, as if returning to that bloody night, the heart was cramping, and strange sensations were covered with pain. Go away. She pushed with all her might, and actually pushed him away a little, taking the opportunity to stumble off the bed. What are you running? You can't run. Mr. Lu was stripped off and looked at her with a face, with obvious greed in his eyes. He was not in a hurry to chase him, slowly, as if teasing a pet. Yixing stared at him vigilantly, panting heavily, and gradually lost his physical strength. Just when he couldn't help but pounce on him, the closed door was opened from the outside. Save me. She looked at the visitor, her eyes full of anticipation and joy. It was the senior management of the hotel, and they took someone to invite Mr. Lu out. Miss, are you okay? The staff came over to help her up and asked with concern. Yixing shook his head, take me to the hospital, thank you. Confirming that she was safe, she closed her eyes with confidence, and her body trembled uncontrollably. When Rong Shi rushed over, he saw such a scene. The thin little man's face was flushed abnormally, supported by the staff, weak and weak, touching the softness of the depths of people's hearts, and the feelings of pity could not be suppressed. I haven't felt this way for a long time. Rong Shi looked at her for a while, sighed, leave it to me, held in your arms, light. She is always full of energy when I see her on weekdays, and I never knew she was so thin. When I opened my eyes again, my eyes were full of white, and the strange feeling in my body had disappeared, but I was still dizzy and couldn't use my strength. Wake up? Drink some water. Rong Shi put down the computer and handed her a glass of warm water. Yixing's consciousness was still a little chaotic, and he didn't take it, just stared at him blankly. Drink some water. He brought the water glass close to her lips, his eyes met him, and she didn't understand the emotions inside. With his hand, Yixing took a sip, and the warm water entered his mouth, feeling much more comfortable. Do you want more? Rong Shi asked. Her voice was still cold and peaceful, but she didn't know if it was an illusion or something she felt cared about. Shook his head slightly, thank you. She showed a weak smile, her gratitude was real. If it weren't for him, she could have expected today's result, and revenge would have become a joke. Rong Shi nodded. Do you want to sit up or lie down? I want to sit. Yixing returned. Rong Shi added a pillow to her back. I asked Secretary Feng to buy food, and he should be back soon. Yixing smiled and didn't speak anymore. On the one hand, he didn't know what to say, and on the other hand, he was too tired. One amazing thing is that the only number she remembers is his, and this can only be a secret in her heart. After a while, the door of the ward was pushed open, and Feng Mengchu came in with the takeaway. President, if it's okay, I'll go out first? Feng Mengchu put the takeaway on the table and asked. Rong Shi nodded and slowly opened the takeaway, which included porridge and rice, as well as soup. Which one do you want to eat? He looked at her. Shall we have some porridge? He had already decided. Yixing nodded obediently, took the porridge and drank it slowly. I asked someone to adjust the surveillance, but no. He said suddenly. Yixing didn't find it strange. Thank you for saving me, let me handle this matter myself. Last time you said that you can ask you for help with something, you have already helped me a lot, so you don't have to feel sorry anymore. What Rong Huan said is right, I don't blame her. This man's charm is always irresistible, and he has decided to stay away, so he can no longer entangle him. She was afraid of herself and was tempted again. Rong Shi put down his chopsticks, his face was calm, and his dark eyes stared straight at her for a long time. Yixing, has anyone ever said that you are very selfish? He sneered and said, recruit and go, this is your way of treating others? I told you, I hate giving up halfway, and I hate being dominated as well. You are very good, you have it all. Yixing closed his eyes, and his long, dense eyelashes cast a half-arc shadow on his fair face. After a while, he looked up, with a self-deprecating smile on his face. Of course I know, I thought I was loved by everyone, and I was deceived by everyone in the end. Rong Shi, I am sorry for entangled you before, and thank you for helping me regardless of your past grievances. In the future, can it be a simple business partnership? I don't want to be that fool who is hated and ridiculed anymore. Rong Shi just looked at her and did not respond. The ward was so quiet that the sound of breathing was clearly distinguishable. Chapter 29. After not getting a response for a long time, Yixing boldly met his eyes, like a black vortex, and he couldn't get out if he fell into it. He slowly smiled. Do you know if you are lost? Very good. Obviously he should be angry, but her fragile and pretending to be strong made him unbearable, an emotion that rarely appeared. Drink the porridge first, I won't interfere. He said in a deep voice, taking the lunch box and leaving the ward. Looking at his back as he left, Yixing breathed a sigh of relief. His silence just now was too oppressive, his whole heart was hanging, and his spirit was tense. Suddenly relaxed, and the feeling of fatigue doubled, she put down the bowl and lay down. Walking into the ward again, Rong Shi took away the notebook, looked at her well-behaved sleeping face with complicated eyes, and still fell asleep to worry about. President, the ticket is booked, will you go now? Seeing him come out, Feng Mengchu asked. He nodded and returned to his indifferent and cold appearance. It's not his style to struggle with one thing for too long, it's better to get things back on track. The caregiver has arranged it? He asked suddenly. Yes. Feng Mengchu nodded. After being confirmed, Rong Shi stopped speaking and quickened his pace to leave the hospital. When I woke up again, there was no breath of that person around me, and I had already expected it, and I didn't feel anything special. Missy, wake up. A middle-aged woman came over with a smile. Do you need anything? Should I eat first or what? After sleeping all afternoon, I recovered a lot. No, help me get discharged. You don't look very good, so you're discharged from the hospital? The nurse looked at her hesitantly, thin and weak, and her lips were bloodless. It's okay, thank you. Yixing smiled at her. After calculating the time, it was now off work, and Yixing went straight back to the apartment. Director. When Lin Qiu saw her, he immediately greeted her. Why can't you keep contacting her? Lin Qiu couldn't hide her tiredness between her eyebrows. Something happened. Yixing patted her on the shoulder comfortingly. Sit down and say. Lin Qiu nodded and sat down on the sofa with her. Briefly explained what happened last night to her. Even if Zhou Min did not personally participate in this matter, he was definitely aware of it, but we don't have any evidence now. The surveillance of the hotel was destroyed in advance. Director, I didn't expect them to use such a trick. This matter must not be taken lightly, they will only get worse. If there is no surveillance, wouldn't there be hotel staff? Lin Qiu was so angry that his fists clenched tightly, and his chest rose and fell violently. Zhou Min's power in N City is not comparable to us, and the people in the hotel may not be willing to offend him for us. Not to mention that there is also Lu Zhiqing. Yixing sighed. It was indeed very difficult, but it was not impossible to do it. How is the headquarters? Yixing asked. She had been asking Lin Qiu to pay attention to the situation at the headquarters, and Yang Rui only said that the information was gone, and then there was no follow-up. It is said that the fight was very fierce, and Vice President Lu united a group of shareholders and executives to oppose Mr. Lu, and many of Mr. Lu's decisions failed to be realized. Lin Qiu said and took the notebook on the coffee table. You can take a look at this specifically. But director, let's deal with last night's incident first. The head office is not in a hurry. Yixing nodded, took the notebook, and looked at it carefully. It seems that Lu Yunting did not rest after getting the evidence of Lu Huiming's cheating, and while telling Lu Huiming that I have your handle in my hand, I joined forces with shareholders to stumble on him, trying to force him out of the position of general manager and chairman. And Lu Huiming probably did too many bad things, and he couldn't be sure what the evidence in Lu Yunting's hand was, and he had some scruples when he did things. Lu Huiming's term as chairman is also approaching, and as long as she votes against him as the largest shareholder and then dismisses him as general manager at the board meeting, he will be completely kicked out of the company's senior management. However, on the surface, she must be forced. Zhou Min is Lu Huiming's minion, and his attitude towards her in N City is also instructed by him. However, as long as he still wants to be a good father, he can't ignore this matter. The plan didn't succeed, and he had no reason to let her swallow her anger for the sake of her reputation. Accompany me to a hotel, my bag should still be there. Yixing put down his notebook and said. The two drove to the Cloud Hotel, and the lobby manager recognized her as soon as he saw her. Missy, are you here to pick up your stored items? The lobby manager asked politely, with a very respectful attitude. Yixing nodded. It's troublesome. After sitting in the lounge area and waiting for a while, the lobby manager came over with her bag. Check if there is a problem. Yixing took it and flipped through it. No problem, thank you. Took out his mobile phone, dozens of missed calls, in addition to Lin Qiu's. There was also Rong Shi's, and the rest were in addition to harassing calls, as well as Yi Shuan and Lin Pei's. Lin Pei's phone call probably wanted to see her reaction after being humiliated. As for Yi Shuan, Yixing was a little worried. The time was 10 o'clock in the evening. I was about to call Yi Shuan back first, but found that the lobby manager was still standing in front of me. Is there anything else to do? Looked at him suspiciously. Miss E, what happened last night? If you need help, we can help. The lobby manager said with a smile. Yixing was stunned. Was this lobby manager because of a sense of justice, or because he misunderstood something? She doesn't have the ability to protect them now. Thank you for your kindness, I do need your help, but this matter is not simple, you may be implicated. And you may have misunderstood something. I have nothing to do with that gentleman last night. I know, if you need help, just come to us. Last night was an oversight on the part of our hotel, sorry. the lobby manager said without the slightest hesitation, with a sincere smile on his face. Okay, thank you. Yixing smiled slightly and accepted his kindness. Leaving the hotel, Yixing asked Lin Qiu to drive and dialed Yishuan's phone. Mom, good evening. Yixing smiled and spoke. Good evening, baby, have you eaten? Yishuan's soft voice came from the phone, with a hint of imperceptible vulnerability. Eat, Mom, you're not in the right mood. Yixing was keenly aware. Your dad didn't come home last night, he said he was working overtime, but I know it's not. Yishuan said slowly, her tone very peaceful. Yixing was silent. Is he finally here? Baby, I'm sorry for you. Yishuan's white face slipped down a line of tears. I may not be able to give you a complete home, Mom, what's going on? Yixing asked suspiciously. Of course she knew what was going on. I saw him holding Dong Dong and holding Song Ro in the mall. She happened to be going to a concert that day, and she passed by the window and saw it clearly. The self-deception that has been exposed has finally been exposed. They really seem like a family. We have never been like this. He won't put down his work to go shopping with her, he will only let people send all the new products of the season to her home. He doesn't care what she likes or hates, he only asks her what she wants. Mom, don't cry, okay, I want to cry too. Listening to the choking on the other end of the phone, Yixing's nose was also sore. If you can be a child forever, who wants to grow up? Mom doesn't want to cry either, it's because she has to come out. Yishuan said, choking louder, baby, don't you think Mom is a failure? Not a good wife, not a good daughter, a good mother. At first, he insisted on going his own way and broke the hearts of his parents, but later he was full of eyes and only him, and he didn't even care enough about his daughter. I don't know when my daughter started to lose weight. Although she laughs as much every day, she can feel that her daughter is depressed. She selfishly deceived herself, did not want to destroy the appearance of happiness, did not want to admit that she was unhappy, did not want to lose him. However, she seemed to have never had him. No, Mother, you are very good, he is not worthy of you. Yixing cried and said, Mom, you still have me, can we be together? It is not easy to wake up a person who is pretending to be asleep, but she finally wakes up, but it is distressing. The seeds of doubt she planted at the beginning finally sprouted, and she didn't have the joy of harvesting at all. Chapter 30. Putting down his mobile phone, Yixing stared blankly at the bustling night scene outside the car window. His heart was desolate. Except for Lu Huiming's cheating, she didn't tell her mother more, and she still couldn't bear it. The two things my mother was most persistent about in her life were Lu Huiming and painting, telling her that there was no benefit in the slightest except for making her satyr. The rest, she can bear it. As long as her mother can understand her. Director, are you okay? Back at the apartment, Lin Qiu asked worriedly. Yixing shook his head. Lin Qiu, you should know, my purpose of helping you was impure. Lin Qiu smiled. No one is really selfless. If it weren't for you, I would have lost my job now, and I don't know where my next job is. At least you really helped me, didn't you? You probably don't know, my parents are very conservative people. If I can't get along in S-City, they will force me to go home, take the civil service exam, go on a blind date, and live an arranged life. If I go back, my whole life will be like that. The efforts of youth will turn into bubbles. Lin Qiu looked at her. I am very grateful to you, and I know that you are not a bad-hearted person, and I am willing to help you within my ability. Thank you, Lin Qiu. Yixing looked at her gratefully. The road I want to take is difficult, and the person I want to fight against is my father. I know he did a lot of wrong things, but I still don't have all the evidence. I know it, but I can't do anything, Director. Lin Qiu didn't know how to comfort her, who this kind of thing was resting on. It was enough to make a fuss. I'm fine, you go rest first. Yixing smiled. There are many things tomorrow. After Lin Qiu left, Yixing took out his mobile phone and dialed a call. It's Sheng. Is it okay over there? The low male voice is gentle. Dad. Woo-woo. Yixing said and cried. Sheng, what's wrong? Who bullied you? Lu Huiming asked with concern, and his worries could also be felt through the phone. In the face of decades of old drama bones, Yixing did not dare to relax at all, and his sobbing became louder, looking very sad. Sheng, tell Dad, Dad will help you, don't cry, be good. After not getting a response for a long time, Lu Huiming was anxious. Woo, Dad has a lot of people bullying me. Yixing told Lu Huiming about the matter while crying. Pei she has changed, that Mr. Lu is so scary. I said I was uncomfortable, and they wouldn't let me go, so, it didn't work. Lu Huiming extracted the key points and sighed. Sheng, Dad will go over and help you, don't cry, okay? Lu Huiming comforted. Dad will feel distressed if he cries badly. Lu Huiming persuaded for a long time before Yixing stopped crying. That night, Lu Huiming rushed over, and it was another comfort. In front of Yixing, he called Zhou Min and scolded him. Sheng, can you go rest first? Tomorrow Dad will accompany you to the police. Lu Huiming patted her on the back and said softly. Yixing's eyes were red and swollen, and the tip of his nose was also red, and he nodded slightly. He had no strength anymore. Confirming that Yixing had fallen asleep, Lu Huiming gently took him to the door, went to the living room downstairs, and recalled Zhou Min's phone. Did you leave any evidence? He got straight to the point and asked directly. Mr. Lu, I didn't do this either, I don't know. Zhou Min said vaguely, although Lu Huiming instructed him to hone Yixing well, he was not sure if this method was possible. In fact, he was just acquiescing, and he was really not his mastermind. Don't be sloppy, do you dare to say that you didn't know about this in advance? The hotel was arranged by him, and he also checked it at that time. Can he not know where the problem is? Well, I do know, and it is according to your will. If she breaks out of this kind of scandal, those people will think about it more if they want to push her up in the future. Zhou Min said, in terms of evidence, there is no physical evidence, and they are all cleaned up, but the witnesses are not very certain. I heard that the hotel executives took people to open the door yesterday. After listening to Lu Huiming, doubts arose. The top management of the hotel? Mr. Lu, this matter must have nothing to do with me on the surface, don't worry. Zhou Min promised. Okay, be cautious in the future, don't do it if you're not sure. I will stabilize Yixing's place, and I don't have to stumble on her at work. I still know how many pounds and tails she has, that is, I am lucky. On Lu Yixing's side, the cooperation that was still being contacted has stopped. The original plan was to give Yixing a difficult big order, stumble her in the middle, and finally push the fault to her. Lest because of the success of the two projects she was in charge of before, let those people find an excuse to let him abdicate. He can still sit in this position now, but Yixing is not yet a tool. Got it, Mr. Lu. How is it going on your side? If I want to say that I don't care about this company, let's transfer the assets and open a new company directly. How good it is to be the founder. Zhou Min proposed, most of the equity of this company is in the hands of your daughter, to put it bluntly, that is, to work for her. The time is not ripe yet. Lu Yunting's old thing has been going against me recently. I thought that if I pinched my handle, I could do whatever I wanted, Lu Huiming said contemptuously. Then I'll wait for the good news here, Mr. Lu, you have to do it as soon as possible. It's easy to change if you drag it on for a long time. Zhou Min said excitedly, Lu Yunting, do you want me to send someone to do him? Guaranteed cleanliness, no, don't use your Taoist life in the mall, there is a law to govern him. Lu Huiming said seriously, recently, my term of office is coming up, don't cause trouble, okay, don't worry, if you have any use for me, just tell me. Zhou Min flattered. Putting down his mobile phone, Lu Huiming snorted disdainfully, a rogue is a rogue, and he can never change his nature. As soon as dawn broke, Lu Huiming accompanied Yixing to the police station, and after making a record, he took her to have a meal. Dad, don't you have to go to work? She asked uneasily, with caution in her eyes. Lu Huiming touched her soft hair lovingly, what's more important than my precious daughter? Eat more, it's been a long time since I last saw you, and I've lost so much weight. Yixing nodded obediently, much quieter than before. Blame Dad for not taking care of you. Lu Huiming said guiltily, saying that he served her a bowl of soup. Yixing ate in small bites, his mind spinning rapidly. What is Lu Huiming making a special trip for? Definitely not to see her. Dad, are you in trouble at work? Mom said you have been very busy lately. Yixing asked tentatively. No, there have been a lot of things recently, and the company has talked about a lot of big projects. Lu Huiming said with a smile. But there are so many people in the company, Dad can let them do it. Uncle Lu is the vice president of the company, doesn't he have to do things? Yixing asked curiously. Everyone has their own job, and Vice President Lu has to be busy with his part. And I am the general manager, so naturally I should be the busiest. If Dad does more, the company will develop better, and you will be easier in the future. The kind smile made people's hearts warm, but Yixing didn't feel it at all, he just felt fake. Dad, you are so tired from work, and the company's food is not delicious. Do you want Aunt Song to bring you food? I remember her cooking was delicious. Yixing suggested seriously, and then complained a little, if only my mother could cook, haha, Sheng cares about his father, I'm very happy. It's just that I think the food in the company restaurant is still good, so I don't have to bother others. You Aunt Song have to work and take care of Dong Dong herself, so why bother her? Also, don't cook for your mother, we only have one kitchen. Lu Huiming said with a smile. Taking advantage of the time to go to the bathroom under the pretext, Yixing sent a text message to Yang Rui, asking him to pay more attention to Lu Huiming's movements in N City. Sheng, put on your coat, don't go to work today, go back to rest. Lu Huiming helped her put on her coat, sent her back to the apartment, and then said that he wanted to inspect the work of the branch and went to the company himself. Yixing sat on the sofa in the room, holding a notebook and a video of Yi Heng helping him register a company abroad. Yi Heng is the son of lawyer Yi, who took care of her grandparents' inheritance, and is studying in country M. Brother Yi. She showed a well-behaved smile, looked at the camera, and greeted the people inside.